Alright, to break this big nut loose, I had to have my son hold on to the top of the unit while I use these. The crescent wrench was acting like it was going to round it off too much, so I just had to squeeze real hard and break it free. You can see some of what was holding us up, old paint in the back side of it. So now we can get this thing off of here. It just did not want to break loose at first. Typical threads there. You twist them to the left to get them to come out. It was being so stubborn to come out, I was wondering if it was a reverse thread or not. Well, and we just twisted the cam out of the way. It just moves freely. Alright, and there's our big nut. And if you look inside there, you can see what it says is the top seal that we need to get out. That's that white thing down in there. It says they want you to use a flathead screwdriver or a punch. Remove the top seal from the top and the bottom seal from the bottom by pressing against the side of the seal and popping it out. So we're going to try to reach down in there carefully and try and get that thing to come out somehow. And there's our top seal. And there's a new one in the kit to replace this one. Remember that the top was a smooth face. So when we put the new one in, we gotta make sure that we set the new one in with the smooth top facing up, not the other way around. So we'll set that aside so we can remember that. And then we got the bottom seal. Lay this thing on its back. It says be careful not to scratch the housing where the seal's set. And that would be up in there where the piston would ride. Junk in there. Alright, with our handy little LED flashlight, we can see this seal right here. Okay, you see that big plastic seal in there? This flashlight kind of tends to blind the camera, but that's it in there. And it says that we just need to use a flat screwdriver and try to gently pry that thing out of there. Hold this. You can see the black rubber seal. One of the black seals. Now you can see all the paint caked around it. And there's the other one. Anyway, these are the two black seals. Like you'll see on your new piston, that plastic piece that you saw me break out, that's the retainer ring right there that held these in place. It says, according to the directions, it says do not take these off of the piston, and so that it will sit in there correctly when we're done. It says clean the area where the new seals will be installed. If you look in there, you can see all the garbage that's in there. See all this paint right there? That's what they're saying needs to be cleaned out. They want to make sure that the new seals will seal good. You can see all that paint in there from years and years of using this thing. Anyway, the place they do not want you to scratch is the guide hole, and that's where the piston needs to get a good seat on. The rubbers are just to seal off this big area from the piston so it can draw the paint up. I'm sure these are not what was causing it to leak. More likely it was that top seal that you take out, but they just want to replace everything while you got it open. But it's possible that this bottom seal is leaking because all this paint was getting here, but I think it's just because the paint fills this whole area when it's pumping. And then once you get this clean, so that it won't fight the new one going in, I gotta find a rag.
So what we've done here is we've just cleaned out the threads on this, because if you leave it all gunked up, it'll make it so that the thing won't stay in there, and it'll make it so it is a lot easier for paint to leak around it. So we cleaned out the threads, cleaned out where the seals will go.
And this is the inlet valve assembly.
And that goes right there.
Those threads.
And we cleaned out the threads on the top area up in there and made it so that that area is also clean. Cleaned out the threads up there also, and where the seal will go.
And where the top nut sits is in there.
That thing right there goes
Top
in
nut.
that hole right there, and it's a replacement one for the other one.
Why don't you tell them about what we saw on this?
We noticed also on here that, as you can see on the right one, that the seal or the copper in it is not quite as worn out as on ours, which has been used a little bit longer. So it should make it so that stops leaking, because that's where we were having a problem, was up on the top.
So I'm guessing that when the piston is riding up and down inside of this thing, that over time it gets a lot of play. I can see how it can move around in there a lot. And what I'm guessing is that over time, that copper ring in there, it goes all the way to the bottom, wobbles out from just, years and years of going in it. Like here, there's like no play. Of course, this is the old piston, but still, it still shows how it holds it a lot better in there, and it's more secure around it. And then this one, you can actually see the dark gap that's been created over time of just wobbling back and forth in there because of the cam lifting it up and down. And I would assume that's probably the number one reason why we get so much leakage, outside of just maybe the O-rings themselves having gone bad. So I did not know originally that the top nut was being replaced, because this was in the package upside down, so I couldn't really see that that's what that was. But it's a new top nut that comes with new copper to seat it right. Alright, so we made sure that we cleaned out where the piston rod rides inside there. We cleaned out both where the bottom seal on this side would seat up against there, and we did the same on the top where the top seal would sit. So now we're into the part of the instructions where it says assembly of the fluid section. Alright, it says lubricate the new top seal, which is this thing. Remember where it had the metal underneath of it? So this is our old one, this is our new one. Remember, this edge faces up in the unit, so when we put this down in there, it's going to be with the metal down. So it says we need to lubricate that, and it says you can either use some separating oil or light household oil, which is like what this is, just stuff you can get at any hardware store, 3-in-1 multi-purpose oil. And you could probably use motor oil if it's a lightweight. And we're just gonna put some in it. It's just to help it last, I'm assuming, or to go in easier. It says by hand place the seal, cup side is sealed down into the top port of the housing. Alright. Still see a little bit of dirt in there, so clean that out a little bit better. With me, I'm just going to stick it on my end of my finger so I can kind of like guide it in there a little bit, or maybe I won't. Whichever. There it goes. Alright, I gotta get it off my finger. Alright. I guess apparently that's about as low as it's going to go at the moment. And I'm pretty sure that why they always tell you to squirt some oil through the center hole on the faceplate is so that it gets oil inside there and helps it so that your piston rod does not wear out the copper in your top nut as quickly. So again, whenever you are going to use your paint sprayer, make sure you take and squirt some of this through the hole. I'm pretty sure that's why I've been having so many problems, is because I was not the good person and doing that every time I was using it. But now I see the damage that's caused by not, so I'm pretty sure I will start doing that from now on. It says place a small amount of anti-seize on the threads of the top nut. This is our top nut, and this is our anti-seize. I guess they want that on there so that when you crank it on there, you can actually get it off without having to go through all the trouble that I went through because mine was so old. So we will take some of this and we will put it on our threads. And all I'm doing here is just making sure that it's getting inside all of the threads. I imagine a good reason for putting this stuff on too is to keep it from the paint filling in all those grooves over time. Looks like copper. Looks like ground up copper to me. Anyway, place the top nut into the top of the housing and tighten with an adjustable wrench. This will drive the top seal. That was the thing we already put into its correct position. Alright, twist that thing out of its way. And one thing I would make sure, twist it backwards first till you feel its threads find their location before you start twisting it in. Cross-threading this thing would probably be a very bad idea.